Yeah, you know I'm on my, hey, you know I'm on my, hey, you know I'm on my, hey, hey, yeah, I don't never lose, nah, all I do is win, hey, I don't never lose, yeah, all I do is win, hey, this week on earth, 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 hey.
Welcome back to This Week on Earth. This week on Earth, we are doing a topic. It's really just an interesting, I guess you could say, controversial topic to some. We're going to do it on religion. Nothing really major with it, just what our views are and what we think about it, and just a good little talk to have. Nick's disappearing in his library there every now and then. He bite. But first, we have This Week on Earth in history. May 25th in 1787, the Constitutional Convention opened in Philadelphia, where 55 state delegates drafted the Constitution of the United States.
Oh yeah, they drafted it.
They drafted it. Do you think that they are proud as to where it stands today?
I mean,
I think they're proud of it, but it's not being upheld because our government's corrupt.
I'm sure they're proud of their work, but I mean, like, are they proud of how the government is handling it?
Absolutely not. They're rolling over in their grave.
that was a long time ago, and I don't think they foresaw or foreseen any of the things that are happening now today. Like, there's no way that they could have. There's no way that the Constitution, I mean, obviously it does like hold up now, but we've amended it, you know, how many times? A bunch? I don't know. Somebody out there in the world knows how many amendments there are, but
You're right. Somebody does, but not me.
yeah, I don't know. There's no way they could have known what was going to come.
So you're saying like things change and so should the Constitution?
Yeah, so for sure. Absolutely.
Yeah. I'm cool with that. For most, or not, I'm not going to say most. For some things. I think some things were right originally. But
I mean, I feel like a lot of those dudes back in the, like, probably generally weren't like great people.
you're
You know
right.
what I mean, like, we had to amend the Constitution for some pretty serious, what should be like, you know, just things that should be like women voting and
Absolutely.
you know, like rights of black people in the country. Like, that shouldn't needed to be amended. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
So do you think that they should start over? Like, not start over, but like make a new one? Would that be,
Well,
would that be
not with the
something that y'all
powers
would
that
be
are in
open to?
control now.
I
mean,
agree with that shit. But, you know,
I mean-
if we had 55 delegates, you know,
I think the people of the United States should have a right to make a change to it, which we do. We just don't come together and do it. But
yeah. You're
Yeah,
right.
we have a Constitution that has like TBH in it and talking about
hashtag.
sneaky links and shit. Like, nah.
Yeah.
Nah.
It's just like there's no gauge of people's moral compass and integrity anymore. So you can't really, there's no way to put, okay, these 55 people have a true good moral compass, a great integrity level that's going to truly make the right decision that's based on common morale or morality, people. I don't trust people enough to make good decisions that's going to do stuff like that.
Okay.
I think,
go ahead. No, you go ahead.
I think the Constitution itself is on, like, it's okay. It's moving to, we're amending it and we're making it better. And there have been laws and stuff that, not necessarily constitutional laws, but like laws and things that have had to been rewritten or new laws made because of new technology and things like that. So, I mean, like, it's a living document, I feel like. So making a whole new one, I think, would be kind of pointless because we're going to put the same shit in there that we already have, a lot of it anyway.
True.
It's just kind of how it is.
Very true. You know, I was going to ask, I was going to say, raise your hand if you vote regularly.
What do we mean by regularly?
I mean, like you vote for.
I vote for like the president. I don't be going and voting for like the town treasurer and stuff like that.
or the
Yeah, I do my
bills
every
and stuff.
4 civic duty.
Yeah. I have never voted. I'm registered to vote. I have never voted. First of all, I wanted to vote the last 2 elections, but I did not like either candidate. And I guess I should have voted third party. But at the time, I thought my thinking was that they, even if I vote third party, it is basically like throwing a vote away.
Right.
Until I was told that if they get a certain percentage, I'm not sure what the percentage is. If they get a certain percentage of the votes, they get the right to be in the main debates the following election. So I think next time I feel that way, I will vote, and I will vote third party and try to get that percentage up. So something to consider for those out there who, I mean, I'm not going to say Trump was the worst president as far as the economy and all that stuff, but I just think he's a fucking asshole. And I get that people say, we need somebody to tell you like it is. Well, there's a line of telling people like it is, and there's crossing that line, and there's being.
The president got banned from Twitter.
Yeah, I agree. It's
need I say more?
Like a man child in there. But anyway, I digress. That's old news. We'll talk about it next election, probably.
You say fake news?
Yeah, fake news.
Oh.
But anyway, Biden's a fucking idiot. Holy
Agreed.
shit. Goddamn.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of politicians on the whole.
I agree with you there, for sure. That being said, I will not vote for Kanye if he runs either. I love Kanye. I think he's awesome. I think a lot of his stuff is really dope. I would never vote for him for president.
Yeah, that'd be a mistake.
I wouldn't even vote for Dwayne The Rock Johnson either.
I definitely am. I'm not voting for anybody like that.
I'd
Anyway,
vote for The Rock before I voted for Kanye.
for sure.
Well, yeah, absolutely. I
both
mean,
be
if we're
terrible.
talking about between those two, but I wouldn't vote for him up against a true politician. Or
Could you imagine seeing The Rock give Vladimir Putin the people's elbow? Oh my god!
I'd pay to.
Oh my god!
All right,
That'd be great.
next fact from history. Same day, May 25th in 2020, George Floyd, an unarmed African American man, was killed during an arrest in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Crazy.
Yeah, that's a sad day for sure. That was
Absolutely.
yeah.
2 years. 2 years.
Time's flying.
Yep.
Yeah, time flies when you got the Rona.
Yeah. Jimmy is just getting over the Rona.
Day 5 of quarantine, right here.
Yep.
Stay 6 feet away from your computer screens, boys.
Him and his little owl buddies.
Yep.
But yeah, George Floyd, his death was not in vain. I think a lot of good came from that. I think a lot that needed to be talked about. You know, it sparked a lot. It was a terrible situation, but I do think that it is having a positive impact.
Yeah, and I think
on
COVID
society.
had something to do with that too, because I mean, we didn't have anything else to do. Like, you know what I mean? Whereas
Yeah.
people could have been distracted had it not been, you know what I mean? And it kind
For
of
sure.
it could have just got pushed away like everything else.
There were no sports.
happens- tends
There
to
were,
do.
you're right. But I do think that in a very, very, very bad situation, I do think some good came from it. So
Yeah, I mean, didn't that Chauvin or whatever the hell his name is, didn't he
yeah,
get
Derek Chauvin,
found guilty of that?
he was convicted,
Yeah.
rightfully so.
Yeah.
Who?
Because
Jesse
in-
Smollett? that what he said?
Derek Chauvin, the officer that with his knee on the
Oh,
back of
Jesus.
his
Yeah,
neck.
the one that killed the dude.
Yeah. Who's the guy you're talking about? Is that the kid? with the
Jesse
gun?
Smollett was the
That's like-
actor that faked it.
Oh, yeah.
That is the opposite.
That's
of
what
the
happens when you
spectrum, I
play
feel.
PGA during the podcast.
Wow.
Yeah,
I'll
but
make it.
that definitely brought out a lot of people's like true colors. I'll say, like,
For sure.
people that you thought you would. I lost a lot of respect for people after that.
This goes back to
Yeah.
our talk about social media and how, seeing some things on there, that's ridiculous, and that you're just like, you're talking about people that Nick was saying he like deep unfriends people because of things that they say.
Oh yeah, I've unfriended people over stuff like that for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Dude, I unfriend people because their grammar and things that they say.
Yeah, you weren't there for that episode, but
Sorry.
anyhow, we'll move on. In a better light, I guess. I wasn't the biggest fan, but a lot of people were. May 26, 2006, Barry Bonds hits home run number 715 to pass Babe Ruth.
Does it really count?
Yes.
Yeah, it counts.
Whenever
Doesn't matter
the
if you made himself stronger.
steroid
You still have
era.
to have the skill to hit that ball. You still got to be able to swing and time it. You still got to have longevity to continue doing that. Just because you boosted your shit, it counts.
Well, the longevity thing, you get more longevity from using
See,
steroids.
this is my
but-
thing about performance enhancing drugs. People want to be true to the game and not do it and be natural. Fine. That is your choice. People that want to take them, great. If you want to make it even, make it allowed for everybody to make their choice to use it or not. You don't want to use it, but it's allowed, fine. You want to use it and you use it, great. Don't sit here and ban it and make it unavailable for people, because that just leads to people doing shady shit. Just make it available. You don't want to use it, you don't. It just,
So you say let them loose and just
yeah. Let
See
it
how
loose,
far
because
they
if
can
those
really
people
hit
want to
that
take the
motherfucker.
risk of their health and their own. There's a pro and a con for everything.
I feel you.
If they want to put it in them to perform and have all these achievements, fine. You want to get fucked up later and your balls be small, sure. You took that risk, but you hit 700 fucking home runs.
Yeah. You're not the only one that feels that way. That's for sure. I've seen that take before.
I'm kind of like, I don't know, I'm weird. I'm just like
You're on the fence.
yeah,
Baseball joke.
yeah, because like you got stuff like I don't think it makes that much of an unfair advantage in baseball, because like, yes, I don't care how many steroids you do, I don't care how strong you are, a 98-mile-an-hour fastball is fast as fuck. Like,
Sure.
you still like, that's those people, when people hit home runs, it is not an accident. They know, they've watched film, they know the pitcher's tendencies, they're guessing where that pitch is going to be. And you're not like, we're not talking limitless here, we're not talking like unlimited brain potential power. Like, you still got to put the bat on the ball, but at the same time, stuff like Lance Armstrong and blood doping, like doing that type of stuff, because that his blood carried more oxygen, meaning that he could ride his bike faster for longer. And that is all that the Tour de France is. Like, who can ride their bike fastest the longest?
Yeah.
And that is 100% an unfair advantage that he shouldn't have had. But it has nothing to do with how strong his legs are. His blood was carrying more oxygen.
But I'm saying, but if everybody was allowed to do that and knew about it, then
That's
then
the
what's-
thing, though. Not everybody was like Hank Aaron and all them people. They didn't have
Babe
that
Ruth.
stuff. They was like straight natural athletes like that. Could smack the ball over the fence. Like, I get what you're saying, but these are MLB players. Like, they're at the top of their game, like top players in the world, right?
Without the PEDs.
So somebody like Derek Jeter, he can get he can hit the ball. He's smart. But if he had took steroids, that ball would have went over the fence. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's a whole different ball game at that point. Adding, because you see Barry at the beginning of his career, and then when he started, like, you could see the change. Like, bro, the muscles went from my size to out here. That's different. Same with all of them, like Mark, Giambi.
We should just have a
Clemens.
steroid. They should just have a steroid league. Like, you want to do
I feel
steroids,
like
you're in
it's
this.
an unfair advantage.
hell yeah.
No shit.
So it'll
But certain
devolve into
performance
like,
enhancers aren't that bad. It's just the ones like certain, I don't know. like creatine and stuff like that. I don't see issues with stuff
I don't
like
think
that.
creatine's illegal though. That's
No,
just a
I'm pretty sure
protein.
that's not banned. No, it's like HGH and all that shit.
Stuff
But
that's
there's
injected.
somebody that's doing something right now that's not testable, and then they'll find out how to test
Yep.
it. They'll get called. And
I
then
listened to a really good podcast about that. It's a podcast called American Scandal, and they do all sorts of stuff.
yeah,
But they did it on. There was one on Lance Armstrong, and there was one on Barry Bonds, and they're like multiple episodes. I'm pretty sure. But I did a poll on my Facebook and Instagram one time about. I asked, do you have a positive or negative outlook on Lance Armstrong? And it was overwhelmingly positive. But if you hear some of the stuff that this dude has done, now I get he's done a lot for cancer research and stuff like that, which is great. But the dude cheated
yeah, it's
a lot.
There's something about it's like he's in the same boat as like A-Rod. Like they vehemently denied doing anything wrong and was like trying to be this perfect poster child of like integrity and all that. Where like I would have way more respect for him if like they got caught and were just kind of like, yeah, okay, I fucked up. But like they were like, I'm saying like ready to go to war knowing that they were lying. And I don't know, that puts a different spin on it for me anyway.
Barry Bonds was never proven that that's the thing about it, is no one ever proved that Barry Bonds was doing it. He just missed his last chance to get into the Hall of Fame. Now they can do like the committee, it's some kind of committee.
The writers didn't put him in.
Right. So
That's
think
what
he'll
they're going to
eventually
do.
get
They're
in.
going to ruin him, not letting him get that jacket because they're going to just hold that over his head.
I think he'll get in eventually.
Yeah, I'm not saying guys that take steroids aren't like animals, like very good at what they do, but I don't know. That adds a whole different aspect to their game when you can hit the ball 380 feet to 450 feet.
Yeah.
And before you could barely get it over 300. Like that's a huge difference. That extra couple of feet.
Speaking of Babe Ruth, the modern day Babe Ruth is in today's league, and it's insane to watch. And just imagine watching Babe Ruth.
Talking about Shohei Ohtani.
Shohei is overrated as hell.
Oh my god!
What?
No,
Get
hold on. Hold on.
You're
No,
kicked off the podcast.
Okay, let me fucking speak. Goddamn.
That's your final words.
Hint. What Shohei does. He has a great OPS. He came in second in home runs. He's the first person to have 100 home runs and 250 strikeouts, some crazy number like that. What he does as a two-way player is fantastic. Don't get me wrong. Mike Trout, his contact, his speed, his ability his RBIs are off the charts. But the thing that bothers me, the Angels barely get over 500 a season, dog. Like, I don't give a shit how they're not. You don't mean jack fuck if your team ain't doing shit. I know it's a team sport, but why are we glorifying Shohei Ohtani when they're not doing shit? They're not doing a damn thing. He's great, but his team sucks. Sorry.
Just speaking from somebody that played baseball, like I get what you're saying, like superstars should be superstars, but it's harder. Like when you got 9 people to go through that lineup and those are like your best hitters and they the only ones getting on base and then nobody after them can hit them in, that changes everything.
Can I just point out that this is Bauer saying this, who was on Team LeBron, who says LeBron is the GOAT. But for the same reasons, Shohei Ohtani ain't shit. What you mean?
Huh?
You're saying Shohei Ohtani's individual stats don't mean anything because his team can't win. Well, I could say the same thing about LeBron. I don't see how the team has anything to do. He is doing shit that people have never done in the oldest sport in America.
Yeah, I've never seen.
That's what I just said. Shohei is great. His team sucks. So
how does that make him overrated?
Yes, in generally speaking, he is.
No, he's not. He's doing shit that nobody's ever done in the oldest game that there is.
Mike Trout, I'm pretty sure, was injured for a lot of last season, which was his rookie season. So let's give him a chance to get a full
Wait.
healthy Angels team, right? Wasn't Mike Trout injured last year?
Did you say it was his rookie season?
No,
Last-
Shohei's rookie.
Last season was Shohei's rookie season.
okay,
Yeah,
okay.
my bad. I should have.
I was confused. I thought you was talking about Mike Trout's rookie year. I was like,
Nah.
wait, no.
But Mike is a savage. I think those two together. Baseball is a very team-oriented sport, no doubt. But if you've
Right,
got
it's
two
all
players
about
like
9
that,
guys.
you got two players like that, that's going to translate to some wins for sure. So I think I don't know what they're doing this year so far, but I guarantee it's better than where they were without Mike Trout.
The only reason why I say he's overrated again is because it's super early. Everybody can have one good season.
That's the point where I don't get it. It's super. He's a second-year player, and he just won MVP last year. I don't. He's pretty impressive. To me.
Okay, that's
Doing
fantastic.
things that
That's
have
great.
never
Derrick
been done.
Rose was the youngest MVP we ever saw, and then he had no career after that because he got hurt.
That's totally different, bro. And
Hey,
Derrick
hey,
Rose
hey.
was never overrated. Like you could
He
never
was
say
savage
that
and
Derrick Rose
sad
was overrated.
story.
Absolutely.
I never said he was overrated. I'm just saying this. We just don't know his full spectrum of what's going to be.
And we got
Speaking
to
of
see.
Derek,
Shohei could completely decline after this. No injury at all. He could just be like, oh, wow, I was shitting the bed after that for the rest
Yeah.
of ever.
But that doesn't make him overrated today. That's my point. He's not.
He's not. He's
We'll
great.
agree to disagree. I think that you need to go
He's great.
check it out more because dude is an
Check it
animal.
out more. I am fully
He's great.
indulged in every single sport right now. Shit, I watched some tennis over the weekend.
Shohei's great.
I'm up to date.
Yeah.
I just feel like it's just there's with the way that the team's performing in general, their odds are never good. That himself can't piggyback it, and they're just rubbing his dick a little too much when they ain't shit happening.
That's fine. We'll move on. We haven't even got to our topic yet, and it's already yeah. But anyway, May the 30th, the Lincoln Memorial was dedicated. I was going to ask y'all, what is the
statue with him sitting in a chair? Right?
Yeah, in 1922, bro. That's to me that stuff is crazy that
Pyramids.
it was built that long ago. Yeah. But I was going to ask y'all, what is the coolest landmark that you've seen in person?
D-Day is pretty cool.
What is?
D-Day. Well, that's not even a landmark. Well, I guess D-Day
no,
Memorial.
it's a
D-Day
memorial.
Memorial is really the only landmark I've seen.
Wow.
I mean, I
Speaking
seen
of
the
going on
Statue of Liberty
vacation,
when I was a kid, but I don't remember it.
That's mine. I saw the
What is
Statue of
it?
Liberty.
oh,
Yeah, I saw the Statue of Liberty,
Hmm.
and then that would to me was amazing.
What was on the $5 bill before 1922 then?
shoot.
Wait, what?
The Lincoln Memorial is pretty dope.
Golden Gate
I like
Bridge.
that one.
That one was cool.
Oh, true. Nick, what you got?
What's the pond? What's that like
Golden
little
Gate, I guess.
river joint that the girl runs through in Forest
Oh,
Gump?
you talking about the Washington Monument?
Yeah, I see that joint's pretty dope too.
The what's that called? Obelisk. It's called an obelisk.
Jimmy,
I saw
what
the
was
White
yours?
House. I've been
I don't know, man. I hadn't really. I don't know. I've seen.
The Wright brothers plane.
Yeah, I live right there. I live
Yeah.
right next to that. The
The real
coolest
thing?
personally.
Real plane?
What?
Is
No,
the
it's
plane
like
that you're
a-
near the real
No,
plane?
the plane is not here. The plane's at like a museum.
Museum. I think it's in DC. Matter of fact.
At the probably at the
Smithsonian?
Smithsonian. yeah.
Smithsonian. That's the one I was thinking about.
I don't know. I got to see the Goonies house one time. That was cool.
Oh, that's right. You trespassed to get there.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
hope your statute of limitations is up on that. But
No, it's fine. We were.
Yeah.
I checked in when we did it.
yeah, right. Yeah, they should know better than to put a trespassing sign on that. It's the Goonies.
Actually, just this past summer, I got to see like the Arch in St. Louis. That was cool. Drove past that.
Yeah.
The Hollywood Star Walk, the sidewalk with the stars in it. Been there.
Okay, yeah. I hadn't been to
And
Hollywood.
you've been to LA?
Yeah, we went to Hollywood when I was a kid. Me and my parents.
Oh wow, I heard that. Nick, did you see that when you went to LA?
Shit's ugly. It's white. It's dusty.
Footprints everywhere.
Uh,
And then the last thing I got is Memorial Day, obviously, is honoring, mourning, and remembering U.S. military men and women for or who have died in service. So we're all thankful for that, for sure. No doubt. None of this would be possible without you.
I'm not, and I'm just playing.
Yeah, come on.
Just kidding.
But anyway, religion. We will now get into that. Religion's a touchy subject for a lot of people, but
It is.
it is for sure. For people who, have differing opinions and views than their loved ones, especially. I think we've talked about that before. It's hard. It's a hard thing to comprehend. And the main thing with, I'm not fully versed in religion, that's for sure. There's a lot that I would like to look into and research, and, there's things that I have no idea about, but I'm pretty much basing all this off of Christianity, which is the closest to me. And a lot of it's just, it's based on faith, it's kind of an unknown, and pretty much the argument that you get for it, not argument, but the
basis is everybody's foundation of their reasoning
is faith. And to me, that's a hard thing to, go off of. For some, it's not. And like I was telling Tabitha, I was telling her that, like, my grandma was an extremely religious person. And, I remember asking her as a kid, why do you believe in God? Like, what makes you believe in God? And she's like, I 100% know that God is real. Like, I've had experiences that tell me that God is real. And I believe that some people may have those experiences, but never happened to me. But yeah, I know that we all have differing views, for sure. I'm a believer in God. I just have a lot of questions, and no one has answers to. So what religion, or if any, do you all believe in?
I'm a devout Christian.
Right. Bauer is a devout Christian. Newly found Christian, or newly renewed. How long has that been going on, Bauer?
I started re-entering my faith and like taking it in full. I started going to church every Sunday before me and Brittany got married. I had committed to God being in our lives and being part of our marriage when I asked for her hand in marriage from her parents. So I'd say that I was fully committed and indulged into allowing God being back in my life for at least 3.5 years now, because we've been married for 3 and at least 6 months before then I asked for her hand in marriage. So at least 3.5 years it's been full on letting that ride.
Right.
Prior to that, I was an atheist. I was completely against it. Life was dark and dim, and then this has been re-brought back in and reintroduced, and I can 110% say that it is far easier allowing the unknown and the faith be your guidance than going against the grain. Sometimes it's harder to smile. It's harder to frown than to smile,
Yeah.
Takes more muscles.
Being an atheist, I believe, is the belief in nothing, right? You don't believe there's anything out there.
So an atheist believes that there is no God.
Right. Okay. And that's how you were about it?
Agnostic is the one that I see.
Right. There's a difference there. Agnostic.
So an agnostic doesn't believe in God. That's the difference. It's a little weird. It's a slight difference, but it's a big difference. So an atheist holds the belief that there is no God, where an agnostic doesn't believe in God. Does you see what I'm saying?
Believes there is a God and just doesn't believe in him.
Not that there could be, there might be, they don't hold the belief that there is not. They're not 100% saying there is no God.
Okay. Thank you for clearing that up, because I've heard that those definitions 1,000 times, and I can never remember which one is which and stuff like that. But anyhow, whoever wants to go next and share with the group.
So I am in more of the agnostic category. Like I don't really, there might be a God, but it is not anything that we know about, or it's, it's not Christianity, it's not Hinduism, it's not Judaism, it's not Rastafarianism, it's not LDS, it's none of that. Like it could be math, it could be just whatever. Like, I don't think that there's anything that plays an active role in our lives from an omnipotent place ever.
Okay.
Like, I do not think that is how it is. My biggest beef with religion, it's not religion, because you can study different religions, you can get good things out of it. There are good ways to be and good ways to not be, and
Sure.
good lessons to have. I don't like organized religion that can, not that they all do, but they can take advantage of people in vulnerable situations and exploit that for money or for, whatever it may be. And I think that organized religion and it being so closely related to politics is a bad thing. I think that the world as a whole would be light years ahead of where we were if it wasn't for organized religion, for Christianity specifically. Like the Crusades and we were not participating in science because it was blasphemous for hundreds of years. Like, I just think that's a bad look.
Yeah, I understand that for sure.
And I did all of the things. So it's like my little personal testimony, I guess, is like, I used to go to church. I went to church. I went on 2 missions trips to Mexico, and I wouldn't trade that experience in itself for anything.
Yeah.
Like, because that was humbling. I was cultured a whole lot. Like I got to see, not from a religious perspective, but just like from a person perspective, from a human perspective. Like these people live much differently. I've got it a lot better than some of these cats out here in the world for no reason at all, for none. And it was, that was just super humbling, and I wouldn't trade any of that for nothing. But I also so my thing was like, I was going to church. I'm doing these things. I'm doing the exact same things that these other people are doing. I'm not going to name a church. I'm not going to name names. I'm not going to do any of that. But like, these people are speaking in tongues and like getting touched on the head and like falling out on the floor and like doing all these. And I'm doing the same thing. I'm doing the same thing this cat's doing. And like, they get to me and I'm like, okay, like if I get overtaken by the Holy Spirit and I fall out on the floor, then like, all right, well, that's what it is. But like, I'm not going to pretend. And then so like they do it and nothing happens. And then that was just kind of like one of the first little like, what are y'all doing? Why are y'all like, if this is for real and this is an omnipotent fucking being, then like why you got to pretend? And then so like another thing that happened, I saw like before service when I was a kid, they had this vase that you couldn't see through, like a pitcher. And I watched them put this red packet of Kool-Aid in it. And that was it. And I was like, oh, that's kind of weird. And then later on in the service, they were like, Jesus can turn water into wine. And they pour water into this pitcher that I saw them put this red Kool-Aid packet in. And then when they dump it out, it's red, of course. And I'm like, well, hold up. Like, if we got this being that can just turn water into wine, then why the fuck we buying Kool-Aid and putting it in this thing? Like, why not just do it? Just do that shit. Why are we doing magic right now? So then that my wheels started turning, and then I just started thinking about everything, and like I don't see it, man. I just don't see it. Ain't nobody lived in a whale for 3 days. That shit ain't happening.
I hear you 100%. What tilted you to think that way, but like generally speaking, not why they put like not real alcohol in there though, right? Like you understand as a person, like you understand that they're not going to.
I'm not worried about the alcohol. I don't care about that. They do something different. Don't just lie. Don't lie to me. And I know that's Kool-Aid, bro.
Gage and I were just talking about that, the communion thing. And I was saying, if it says in the Bible, see, I'm not the type, I had mentioned wanting to get like, I think it would be really cool to bring on a pastor, like to bring a pastor on the podcast to have these discussions, somebody who can quote Bible verses and say this and
I'm
that
related to one.
who's open to doing something like that. But I thought 6 people would be too much for a podcast. But anyway, we were just talking about that. If the Bible says, what bread and wine or whatever it is, why not do it? It's just a little bit, if that's what they say to do, then
Now some places do. Some like hardcore Catholic churches will
Catholics,
give
right.
you wine as a kid.
Yeah.
Like that's but like how it's just weird. It's weird.
Yeah. We always
It's
did
weird.
grape juice where I went to church.
Why am I eating flesh and drinking blood?
Yeah.
Why are we doing that?
Yeah. Is that what it is? Blood and
His bread is the flesh and wine is the blood.
or Kool-Aid in that perspective.
Well, it wasn't even. They were like, that's what I'm saying.
It
They were
wasn't
doing
to
it.
drink,
They
it
were
was
like,
used in my
they
church.
weren't. This wasn't for communion. They were just like, Jesus can turn water into wine. Watch this shit, and they dump it out, and it's red. And I was just like, oh no, that's Kool-Aid.
Oh, so
Yeah.
yours wasn't even for communion. It was
No,
just
they were. That's what I'm
Just
saying. They went
they
out
were
of their
just straight
way.
up lying.
They went out of their way to do this to show us the power of God, but like, it was the power of Kool-Aid. Like,
Yeah, I feel you.
and I just that my point is, why lie about it if it can be done? Why are we lying about it?
Yeah. Now going back to what you said, you do think that religion or churches or whatever can be good. I do think that it is very good for children, especially to kind of get I think church sets a moral code like right and wrong. You shouldn't steal, you shouldn't lie, you shouldn't curse.
In a way, yeah.
I mean,
I think that should
guess-
be the parents in reality, but
I
Y'all
guess,
are-
but like I don't,
y'all are
like
froze. I can't hear or see. All y'all are froze. Are y'all,
Yeah.
all right,
Hold
y'all
on.
back now.
We'll
I
get
just,
back to
I don't. I think
what I
I
was saying.
kind of that argument sometimes like irks me a little bit because if you need a book to tell you to be a good person, then you're just not a good person. Like, if you
but I'm
need
talking
to-
about strictly for kids though. I'm talking, and I'm saying you could do it yourself, but it almost as a kid instills like this. It instills like a higher being to hold you accountable for things that can see everything you can do. It's almost like Santa Claus. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, I mean, I know what you're saying.
You
I
feel
just,
what I
I don't
mean?
know, man. Like,
that's something.
I don't think it's necessary. It's not. You can have a moral compass and never be religious a day in your life. Like, I don't do bad
sure.
shit to people because it's not because I like, oh God, if I do this, I'm gonna go to hell. Like, if I do this, like that sucks. I shouldn't do
I
that
agree
to that
with you.
person because
I
like
100%
that's
agree.
mean. You know, like, I don't know.
I totally agree, but I just mean as a kid, I think that it can be good because it instills values at a young age. Now, I think everybody eventually grows into knowing, stealing and cheating on your wife and murdering people are bad things. I think eventually you will get to that, but I think as a young kid, to know that someone is holding you accountable at all times kind of gives you a moral compass of, how it makes you a better person at that age. Now, I do agree with you that I think you're either a good person or a bad person. Even kids who go to church at a young age and learn that stuff end up being serial killers.
Right.
or-
And they do it because of things that they learned. Now, again, this is just
In
I'm
some
going,
situations.
I'm going extreme here. Like
Yeah.
this is all the way to one side. But like there have been like holier than thou killers that like
Yeah,
they are killing because God told them to do so.
you're right.
Like
You're
and
100%
they
right.
and they are completely justified. And in their morals, they're like, I'm not doing anything wrong. Like
there
I
are
killed that
people-
prostitute because she was a prostitute. And I don't think prostitutes are people.
Yep.
Because God told me that.
There are
Like-
people in the Bible who, were going to sacrifice their children had it not been for God speaking to them and saying, no, just sacrifice a lamb, bro.
There were
Like,
people in the Bible that sacrificed their children because God told them to.
yeah, there
Yeah.
were.
right. But
Was
I'm-
it like who was it? I don't know. This is where the religious people are going to be like, oh, but like Job or somebody had to do Abraham. Somebody had to do
Abraham.
something.
Abraham was the
bro.
one I'm thinking of where he was going to sacrifice his child. I'm pretty sure that's who it was. Now, granted, I'm not well versed in the Bible. I could be completely wrong about this, and he could have actually sacrificed his child. But the one I'm talking about, they were going to sacrifice their child, and God made them sacrifice a lamb instead, or something like that. I don't know, but like, yeah, I feel you. You're right. There have been holier than thou killers, or yeah, it's crazy.
My thing is, I don't know, man. It's just if someone were to live their life exactly the way the Bible tells you to, you would be in a mental institution. Like
Yeah.
people would think you're fucking crazy. People would think you're crazy.
I'm
Like-
not a perfect Christian by any means. Don't get
No,
me
and
wrong.
I'm not trying to shit. This is what the podcast is about. This is how our feelings are. At the end of the day, I got love for everybody. Like I'm not putting anybody down. This is just how I feel. Like I know that there are going to be people that hear this and they're just like, oh, he's a terrible person. You know, the blah, 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 blah. He's going straight to hell. But like,
Well, the
if
PC, and that's the
needed
thing.
something, I'm not going to say, what's your religious affiliation before I help you out? You know what I mean? Like, that's not, I don't know.
And then just to piggyback off what you said is that if somebody's going to sit here and not understand that what you feel and how you believe is your own right, then that puts them in the whole. If they're so great that they live that way, and then they're still able to judge you and not treat you like a brother made from God, then they're being hypocritical to their own thought, anyways. And what I was trying to say was, I understand where you're coming from. I know you're not putting me down at all. The institution of faith, like PZ said, is really, I can't answer every question and, say that I know for a fact everything, this, that, and the third, but I do know that regardless of the end answer or not, that I'm leading my life at least knowing that God's got my back, or my faith knows that at the end of the day, I am a son of God, and everything's going to be okay at the end of the day. That's really, that's how I roll with it, is that just in faith, everything's going to be okay.
Right.
I'm not going to, I don't scream to the top of the mountaintops that this is right and wrong. It's just, I pray over my food, say I'm blessed and thank you. And then, if something were to go wrong, if I were to break my foot or my house burn down or lose my job or something like this, my end of the day, so I don't lose my shit and go back to the bad ways that I've been, is that this was for a reason, and God's not going to let me suffer for any no apparent reason.
Right. And it's not lost on me that if we were gambling, you're in a better spot than I am. Like if this were a gamble, you're in a better spot than I am, because if you're right and I'm wrong, I'm fucked. If I'm right and you're wrong, it's the same. It doesn't make any difference to me, because that's what you know what I mean? Like, you're in a better, if you're wrong, then so be it. But like, if you're right, then you win and I lose. So like your bets are your bets are covered.
You're right.
So
let's get to Nick and Gage here as well.
Yeah, sorry guys.
It's all good. I mean, that was a good conversation. But whichever one of y'all wants to go first on what you
talk about it. I grew up in church, around a lot of church people, and my family's big in church and stuff like that. But I'm a lot like Jimmy and Peasy. I have a lot of questions and just things I don't quite understand. That doesn't make quite sense to me. Like, we grew up on Christianity here and Bible Belt, of course. So for some reason, as Americans, we instantly go to that religion. But how do we know all these other religions is wrong? Like, I feel like that's I don't know.
Yeah.
Crazy to think that way, that we're just always right. This is what we're supposed to do.
Yeah, no.
I also have questions about the Bible itself. Like, that book came from so long ago
and was edited by
Bruh,
King.
like it's been changed so many times. How do we know this just wasn't a normal Harry Potter book and people made it into a religion? That's how books were back in the day. Like, cults and stuff started over books and movies and shit like that. So I have
Go find me a gang of dudes in the Middle East named John and Paul and Mark that are all white.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean,
we talked about that too.
at the end of the day, like, yeah, I would love for there to be a higher power out there to help us and all that, but I can't say that I've ever seen it personally. And just to see like all the bad that happens in the world, like people getting murdered and wars and all that. I
And
don't
that
know. I don't see how a higher power exists at this point because why isn't he stopping it?
you touching on
Or
that, this is just a PSA to Christians out there or anybody in faith out there, anybody in religion out there. If something terrible happens to somebody, do not comment on their Facebook post or whatever it may be and just be like it's part of God's plan. Like I feel like that is such a slap in like to somebody to me that like doesn't believe in that type of thing. Like, you know, something happens to somebody in my family and they're like, oh, that's part of God's plan. Like, I don't want to hear that. Like they did, what if, you know, they didn't do nothing wrong? Why is that? Like, what? There are people starving in other countries. There are people getting killed in the streets. There are people doing this. Like, why is that part of the plan? Like, I think I know that it comes from a good place and they see it as something like wholesome and good, but like it comes off to somebody like me that's just like a disingenuous slap in the face. Like shit happens, get over it. Like
right.
I don't, that's one of my biggest pet peeves. I just had to get that out there in the universe. I don't think it comes off the way that people want it to come off.
Just to speak on like faith and stuff like that, I just don't understand how it just doesn't make any sense to me how people just have this blind faith to believe in something they've never seen or they've just only heard stories about from a book is how I see it. Like it, I've never seen no angel pop up in front of me or anything like that happen. When bad stuff was happening, I prayed, ain't nothing come, you know? Like I'm not trying to be like down and all that. Like I'm a very happy person when it comes, if you know me, but I don't know. I don't really believe in that.
Yeah,
I know growing up in church, like how it was, like my family would love for me to be that way. And I pray with them and stuff like that. But I've asked my parents these questions and stuff, and like nobody gives me answers about any of the stuff I have. They just tell me like it's just faith. And that at this point in my life, I haven't found that. Like at the age I'm at now, like I know things can change throughout life. Maybe I will have that like God experience and see something or feel something, feel that presence. But right as of right now, I haven't had that happen. And just from growing up in the church, like I felt like my pastors were almost like talking badly about certain people in our group. Like they would say certain things and it felt like they were talking to us or badly about us just for being kids almost. So I think that gave me a bad take on religion, going to church, all that. Cause I think after that point of like 14, 15, like I really just didn't want to do it anymore. Like I didn't want to go.
yeah,
I would try to sleep in and
yep.
like I just wanted to live life. And like I get that the religion itself, like, yeah, there's some good things about it, but I've seen some really religious people say some really, really foul stuff that like if we believe all humans are equal and he created all of us, then those words shouldn't be coming out your mouth and you shouldn't be talking about people like that. Like,
Right.
I
Yeah,
don't know.
I think it's definitely one of the most hypocritical institutions in the world, period. Like,
And like I said, we've only like just this group right here. We've basically only talked about Christianity for the most part. Like me personally in my head, I have the questions about like just how many religions are out there. Like people feel like they right too, and they're all different.
Yeah,
So
for
I just
sure.
don't see how we're saying this religion's wrong, ours is right. Like I feel like you should live your life as a good person, like being a good person, morally, whatever. Just be respectful and nice to people.
well, like another way that I kind of like look at it and think about it, and like I've had conversations about this type of stuff a lot in my life, just because like I feel it's a huge thing that like it separates people, but like So back in the day, there were all kinds of gods. There were hundreds of gods. There was like a water god and a tide god and a moon god and a sun
And this was
god. And, like,
before Christianity,
that's what I'm
right?
saying.
Like,
Well,
that's the thing.
it's because we didn't know why the sun came up. There must be a sun god. We don't know why the tides changed. There must be a tide god. There must be a water god. There must be a fertility god, because we don't know how this works. But like now we do. So like the tides change because of the moon. So like we don't need a sun god. We don't need a water god or a tidal god or any of that, because we can science that.
Right.
We know
we got
why the sun
answers
comes
for
up.
it all
Yeah,
We
now.
know
science
why
water,
the moon
brother.
comes up. Like we have answers to these questions. What do we
Science
don't
water.
we don't know
have
what
answers
happens.
to what happens when we die.
can't
Don't know what
science
happens
water.
when we die. You can science water
No, you
tunes.
can't. You can't. None of us humans can take hydrogen and push it together. We can't do that. You might understand how it works, but no, we cannot.
Well, I didn't say we could I'm not talking
we
about
can.
manufacturing.
We can't science God. We can't science water.
But we
You
can
may
figure
know
out, we
know-
figured it
alright,
out.
we figure something
We
out.
figured it out.
Yeah, but
The point is, we figured it out.
You can't really say you figure something out if you can't test it. We don't know, bro. That's our theory, but we can't test it. We ain't science shit about water. That's a
Sure
hell
we
of a theory. It's a hell. Test it then.
We know why the
Make
tides
it.
change.
Make it.
We know why the
I'm
tides change.
talking about water in general. Make it.
I could turn steam into water right now.
Take two hydrogens and put it together with. That's our theory. Do it, and make it.
But we know what water is.
Do it.
Why are you telling me? I'm sitting in
I
a
mean,
damn-
you need faith. You need faith for religion. I need faith for that. Do it. Prove it. Prove that that's true.
What am I proving? I'm not
Prove
proving
prove
what?
the science behind water, bro. You can't. None of us can make water. We haven't figured that out. We can't make water from nothing. We can't take. We say it's made from.
You
this
can't.
and
You
this.
can't make anything from nothing.
But I'm
You
saying,
can't make
I'm saying
anything
you
from
got the
nothing.
recipe though. You got the recipe.
You
Make
can't
it.
make anything from nothing. I
But-
feel like
but
I don't know
but
what you're
I know.
arguing right
No. Okay, something is hydrogen and oxygen. That's the recipe. Make it. Science it. Put them
I'm
two together.
confused
Put them
what
two
you're-
together and make water.
I'm confused as to what your argument is. My
You-
point
you
is, we know
totally
why the
figured it
tides
out.
change. I'm not talking about like holy crap. I'm talking about we know
About
why the water
bro. That
rises.
Shit, we still don't know.
I think he's
think we
saying
do.
that there are things that are science that you
Our
can't
theories.
that you cannot.
We are taught theories.
100%.
Yeah, I mean, it's fact. And yeah, maybe,
This is all theory.
maybe. But that's the same thing about religion. Maybe. Who knows? So
Right.
you're putting your faith into science. That's cool.
I don't know what
Now,
to
I'm
put my
saying
faith
religion,
in.
religion is real. God is real. I think this is my take. I'm last, I guess. God
Yeah.
is real. Now, this whole conventional Christianity, no, I don't believe it. I've been to heaven. I've been to hell. We all have, in my opinion. I think we've been to hell. That guilt you feel. That's when they say you're going to hell when you die. If you're not content with your life, I don't know if y'all have had a panic attack, your shit flashes before your face. So if your soul's not in a good place, imagine that's the last thing you feel. That's hell. I've been in hell, walking in hell, feeling guilty about something bad that I've done. When I've stopped and did something for no reason and helped somebody out, that feeling that you get that you can't explain, you don't know that's heaven. Now, somebody figured that out and and then they exaggerated, and then they made these stories, and then it turned into this, and then it turned into different languages. So people started talking different. They ain't no motherfucker named Mark in the middle. But that's when it changed, because they figured out it's powerful to use that because we've naturally felt it.
Yeah, but
You-
you're coming to me about water. To point to me where your soul is.
I'm saying what I have, y'all talk about you ain't never seen no angels or never felt that presence. I have. So I can't explain it. Maybe it's something I don't know, but to me, it makes more. I felt something intermingling with me. I have moments in my life. I had one with my son that like it scared the shit out of me. I believe that something is out there. Now, what they turned it into, I can't get down with. I've been to church. I grew up, my granddad's a pastor, and I don't like Martin Luther. I feel him when he pinned the thing to the door and said, name one place in the Bible where you can pay for your sins. That's what Catholics were doing. You can go kill a whole village. If you pay in gold, God will forgive you. Martin Luther said, what the fuck? When did they say that? When is it said in the Bible? But it's the same thing as the Constitution. It was built around the times. The powerful people got a hold of it and turned it into what they wanted to get it done, what they need to get done. That's why I don't have much faith in today's religion. But when I look deeper into what it is, heaven and hell, there is a force out there.
You're talking about spirituality though, which is
Right.
different.
Something we don't understand.
We talking about God. I believe God is real.
Right. As a higher power, like I see where you coming from.
Reading the Bible,
but like
no.
Christianity, the Bible, like
I
hearing
don't
about a
need to-
man walking on water so long ago, and that shit ain't ever happened ever again
Exaggeration.
in
It's
all
an
of life.
exaggeration. It was an exaggeration. I don't need to read the Bible,
There's
the
a
Quran,
whole lot of
or
exaggeration
anything
in one book
to know
though,
that God
man,
is
for a lot of
real.
things.
Well,
Do
I'm
you,
just
There's a
saying.
lot of-
do you think that the walking on water thing, Nick, is like a metaphor? Is what you're
Yes, I
saying?
think the whole Bible is metaphors. I
Like he
think
was so
everything-
perfect of a
No,
you
it
know,
wasn't. It wasn't
that they're
that he was
portraying this
perfect. It
perfect.
was just that he didn't have no burdens.
Yeah.
He was that light because that's
okay.
that's
So what
he
was they
avoided
talking
hell.
about
He
when-
avoided living, making decisions that would put him in that feeling of guilt that he was so light that he could walk on water.
They explicitly
no,
say
bro.
that he
The-
died and came back to life.
died, came
That
back
doesn't
to
happen.
life, and
Don't happen.
he cured blindness and leprosy.
Died
like,
and came back to
how-
life is
what
happening today with these.
metaphor are we talking
with
about?
the died and come back to life is happening these days with these albums that get released after people die. When you don't die after you die, he could have just been somebody who his name did not die.
Yeah,
after he
maybe,
died.
except
And then
they
it got
say that
turned
he
into
literally
something.
wrote. They
Yes,
literally.
because
That's not
who
what they're
took power?
saying. Though.
King James version of Bible. Who had power? So
They're
he
not
could- they
talking in
wouldn't-
metaphors. They're saying he rolled the rock away. and
Okay, but
walked
to be
out.
fair,
They're saying he cured blindness and leprosy.
to
like
be
how?
fair though, Nick has disagreed with the Bible.
Yeah,
So all that you're
I
arguing,
don't.
with him about
The Bible is. I'm
things
telling you,
that
I
he-
don't. I'm not rocking with that. So y'all are looking at Christianity. I'm looking at religion as a whole.
like a higher
Christianity came from the Egyptians. It is the same exact religion that they taught. It's just different names. It's the same thing. The with the pyramids lining up with the stars. Those are the stars that they followed when they went to. It's the same thing that's been going on now. It just kind of got flipped with different people and areas and languages and things like that. But the idea of it was because back then, as a whole society, it thought things were wrong. Having sex before marriage, you get stoned. That was everybody. So for you not to feel that guilt, you wouldn't have, that was something that would be in the Bible or something to keep you from doing it. So you that's how I look at it. But that was the times. It wasn't just that then Christianity that thought that. That was just the time.
I don't think I disagree with that though, because like the Romans were notorious for having same-sex sex.
But
in
the
Bible.
Romans fell and they didn't come to power.
Right.
But the same thing, they would be the same concept is in everything.
I don't know, man.
So I would like to go to something different for a second. I have two things. The first, they're both based on podcasts that I've listened to. One is called Conspiracy Theories. It's just self-explanatory titled Conspiracy Theories. Now there's one on the resurrection of Jesus Christ. Now pretty much everybody can agree that Jesus Christ existed. They say that that's a proven fact that there was a Jesus Christ, like the guy that they tell the story about did exist. Now, whether you believe in what happened, they have proven that he was a real person.
Somebody could have went in there and took him.
So that's part of the conspiracy. Conspiracy is obviously conspiracy one is that he actually did resurrect. That is technically considered a conspiracy theory because there's no hard proof of that. Conspiracy number two was that his followers, which would be his disciples, thank you very much, stole the body, claimed a resurrection in order to not lose political power in the times that they were living in. Because at the time, he had made such a big name for himself. They were all gaining political power, and they've said that some of the disciples were strictly in it for those reasons, were basically like, I'm going to ride this dude's coattails to the top because, yada, yada. So that's one. And then the third is that the body was stolen by bandits because he was buried with all these, really valuable items and things like that. So it's a really interesting listen. I recommend it for sure. But that's just something to think about, that this resurrection could have been totally believable for people when in actuality it could have been one of the three things that were mentioned, and so
yeah, but put all the mysticism and the magical and the miracle and the whimsical, put all that away.
Mhm.
We're putting that away for right now.
that's fine.
Say somebody comes up to you and they say, I am God's son. I am the son of God. My mother had me without having sex. I am the son of God. What do you get? Like, how are you going to, nobody, like, if somebody were to say that right now today, they'd be like, you're fucking crazy. Like, you're
Yep.
crazy. There's like, I don't see how it's just not possible. That's how I feel. And that's where I'm at with a lot of it. It's just not possible. Like, there's no way that it's just not like, and it was
Okay.
a convenient story, and it was it could have been about political power. It could have been, all these things, but
Yeah.
like,
But to look at that in a different light, if God is as powerful as, led on to be, he could most certainly put a baby in someone who's never had sex, the Virgin Mary.
I guess so.
He could. Why couldn't he? If he's all powerful, as a powerful
Well, if
higher
I-
being.
That's
correct
great.
me, correct
That's
me if
great.
I'm wrong. The whole idea of what we are today is that
Yeah.
we forfeited, and through the Bible, through Christianity, we forfeited our rights to live in peace or whatever when the apple was ate from the garden. And that gave us what created all of us godlike, where we could create. That's when Christians say when he comes back, you're going to be the ones to stick around and live in that light. So with that being said, we're all gods at this point. That was our burden to live with. That's where anxiety comes from. That's where depression comes from. That's the foresight of a God. That's how I look at it.
Yeah. Well,
We were
that's
cursed
an
with this
interesting
burden
perspective.
of feeling guilt, of feeling jealousy, of having power to think things through and commit these acts. And then so like that's godlike power to be able to make that decision. So now it's up, like that's how I look at it.
Yeah, that's interesting for sure. I'm literally so open to other people's thoughts. I'm not saying that I'll be swayed one way or the other, but it's always been interesting for me to hear them. But my other thing that I had, I had two things. The second one was from a podcast called Mysterious Universe, and this is going back to the pyramids. It was their most recent one that I listened to, so I don't know what the episode was called, but they talked about how these pyramids. This guy, I don't know the name of the guy. He wrote this book about how he had this voice speaking to him, telling him to he was into pendulums, I think is what they're called. Like some people use the pendulums to like to tell you what baby you're gonna have, like boy or girl. You know what I'm talking about? Shit like that.
Okay.
But anyway, they were always trying to find these sources of energy with their pendulums. And the voice in his head kept saying, have you tried it on a pyramid? And, he'd be like, I mean, no, not really. He said, the voice was like, try it on this pyramid. He had like these little pyramid figurines. And so when he would put it over top of the pyramid, it would really swing, like it would go crazy essentially. And so he'd try all these other pyramids. He'd try it from different sides and yada, yada, yada. But he the guy then told him, he was very cryptic, but essentially what he got out of it was to draw a pyramid from the top. So to draw a pyramid from the top, he would draw a box and an X through it, essentially, is what you'd be looking at. It has to be a four-sided pyramid for this to work. Anyway, long story short, it ended up that the guy theorized that that's what the pyramids were used for, is for an energy source in Egypt. At the time, that they have like an energetic aura about them, and they believe that maybe they powered things with them or something like that. But the one is incomplete. There's one pyramid that doesn't have a cap to it, and a lot of people don't know that because you can't see the top, very clearly unless you look from a higher point of view. So everybody just assumes it's complete. And he said that he tried it on a picture on Google Images of right over top of that pyramid without the cap, and it still worked. And the voice told him that it was because so many people, people give them energies because so many people think that it's completed. So it's just something that I think that you would be interested, or y'all would be interested in, to listen to. It's really interesting, and I'd like to read the book that it's from, and I'm going to look it up later and try to figure it out. But we have often on our podcast talked about the pyramids, and I actually edited out a very long conversation about the pyramids in one of our draft videos. It took up about 30 minutes about talking about pyramids and what they were there for and who made them and this and that. But it's just another theory on what they were there for as an energy source. So completely unrelated to religion. Maybe not. Maybe not. Pyramids might have been religious.
Yeah, that's pretty dope to
Yeah.
hear that story, actually.
It's really
Because
interesting.
I believe in like supernatural stuff, like ghosts and bad spirits and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
I'm not saying there's nothing out there.
Yeah.
It's just what we've been taught and what we've been pushed, like people pushed on us, I felt like bad.
Yeah. I think that that's understandable. My mom was in the church. Again, I'm not going to say any names of church. I'm not going to call anybody out. And a lot of the people from that church I still really like. And, I see them out and they're always nice to me, But my mom was like deep into the church, and she played the piano there, and, she just did a lot for the church. And she eventually left because of something that the pastor said at my grandfather's funeral. Matter of fact, yeah, I'm pretty sure what he said was, he looks pretty good for a dead guy, is what he said at the funeral. This is a preacher. But anyway, she left, and she said that a burden was released off of her because she said it was like a cult. Like they held her so accountable, and so devout that she thought it was like a cult, and so I think that that's an interesting thing when it comes to religions, how closely related to cults that they are, or how closely cults are related to religions, I guess, either way, and vice versa. But definitely get cult-like vibes at some, I've been to churches, all different types of churches.
Oh, for sure.
I was telling
Definitely.
Gage, I went to a friend's church when I was younger, and they sang the hymns with no music. And all the churches I grew up in, my grandma played organ, and my mom played piano at the churches they went to. But this one, the hymns are different when there's no like melody behind it. There's no
It's
music.
creepy.
It's creepy, honestly. And some of the words, the one that always sticks out to me, like I told Gage, is a song called Trust and Obey, where they're like, trust and obey, for there's no other way to be happy with Jesus if you trust and obey. And I'm just kind of like, that's kind of an odd song to sing, like about how you have to trust and obey this, this figure that you have no, it's just an odd. I can definitely get the cult like vibes
Right.
from some. Now some
Just
are better than
speaking on
others.
what you talking about, man, like the pastors that you see on TV and stuff, I feel like that's a backward situation. Like we seeing them drive Lambos and stuff like that. Like what?
Not just the ones
How?
on TV. There are
Ju-
churches
well,
where we
yeah, not
live.
just that. That's what I'm saying. It's like they're pushing for money, like where to the point, like during church service, you hear them like tell people, give your money,
Yeah,
like
and
at least 20
especially the
times
ones on
throughout the whole
TV.
service. Like that's
They'll allow their viewers at home to donate. They'll bring up. I mean, often in the show, I mean, everybody's had it pop up on their TV, like on Sunday morning, you wake up and your TV was on the Joel Osteen, and it's like, donate now, call this number and donate now. And Joel Osteen is, we talked about this as well, Gage, notorious for how his church is in Houston, and during the Houston floods, people wanted to come to his church for safety, and he refused them and said that it was a liability to the church. Now, these are God-fearing, do-good people who are like, nah, the insurance company wouldn't be too happy if I let you guys in this church to save your life. It's just, I don't know. I think there's a ton of corruption in it,
yeah, that's what I was about to say. It's corrupt and
especially at that level.
very
But Jimmy's right,
political in a way. Like
for sure.
you see politicians and judges and lawyers and stuff like that, like very push being religious and Christian and stuff like that. Like to the point where if you go into certain courtrooms and stuff like that and you don't appear as a Christian, the judge will favor another way.
Yeah,
Like I feel like that's
especially down
insane.
south, baby.
Yeah, I think just the way we were brought up is just kind of bad on its own. Just the Bible Belt, the way some people took it was bad.
Yeah,
I think it could have been approached a whole lot better, and religion could mean more to more people, and it could have been something great. But to see wars started over it, and I don't know, just I like it all comes down to questions with me. Like I always got a question to what you've got to answer for in the
Yeah.
long run.
Yeah, and
Like,
that's why I lean more towards like more. I do put my faith in science because that you can test it. Like, you can show me, you can explain to me why this happens. You can tell me with science why this happens, and it's not anything outside of that. I don't have to have faith in something that I can't see or feel or talk to or interact with or whatever to explain that. Like, nah, that's what happened. Like people talk about like how, if the earth was a X amount further from the sun or closer to the sun, or if this wasn't this way, or if this wasn't that way, like they're saying like that's a sign of something had to create this. Like, no, I disagree with that. There's this thing called entropy where like given enough time and enough opportunity, whatever can happen will happen.
right. They say if you
get
give a
enough
monkey,
monkeys in a room with enough typewriters, one of them will eventually type
right,
the
Shakespeare.
Odyssey word for word.
Yeah,
It will happen. And like that is the reason that everything is so perfect, because it's been billions of years and we're in this tiny window. And we're we're in this tiny window where everything lines up because that's the only way that it can. And that's the only reason we know any of this is because that's the way it has to be. It's not because it was created so that we can enjoy it. That's the way it is. So now we enjoy it.
okay. So my question to you is it possible to believe in both? Can you believe in God and in science?
I think that's
I think there you can maybe until you get to it, until what about dinosaurs? Then nah, you can't. You can't. You straight up can't. You can't believe, you can't say dinosaurs existed and are 500 million years, whatever, how old they
Right.
are, and also say the earth is only 6,000 years old. You can't do that.
right.
That's
Yeah, I was going to speak just from a science perspective. Like we're the only animal that thinks like when we die, we go somewhere else, and that there's this
That we know of.
afterlife and stuff like that. But we're just animals too. Like
They could have the
Straight up.
deer god, the dog god. We
just
believe that dogs
I
go to
think we're
heaven.
just scared of not knowing what's like why everything is the way it is. Like what happens when we die? Like we don't know what happens.
It's a
We
scary
don't know
thing.
why space and like got it's so big. Like we don't understand none of that because of the scale it's on. And I think our answer to that is, oh, a God must have created it because we can't literally fathom it, basically. So
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Just from a science perspective, that's
No,
how
for
I see
sure.
it, as we're human animals, like we're trying to make up for stuff that we don't have answers for and that we're scared of, to be honest about. Like we're scared of what might be out there. Like Jimmy said, if we're wrong, like we're basically fucked at that point. Like
Yeah.
there's no going back. So
Yeah. And often I've thought that way, which obviously I don't think would get me anywhere where I wanted to go. And like, I would rather believe and be wrong than not believe and be.
and I think that's what a lot of Christians do, and or just religious people do in general. And I don't see how that should be right. Like you just believe in just because you think it should be.
Yeah. Or
I
you
just-
hope it is. Yeah.
I think the scariest part, I don't know, I'm content with where I'm at and I'm cool with my beliefs. And I don't really like nothing that I do. I don't do any of the things that I do in hopes of having an afterlife. Like I genuinely believe that when I die, that's it. Like that's it. I live through memories of me and all of these things. And like, and that's where it gets hard for me, is like when someone else dies, because like I can't. Yeah, it would be so much easier to be able to be like, my family's going to watch this and it's probably going to make them sad, but like, like it would be a lot easier for me to be like, hey, dad's watching over me, or like, whatever, like say that as a warming, like cliche thing. But like, I know deep down, I don't believe that. So like, it hits hardest when someone else dies. And then like, I'm kind of faced with my, I guess negative outlook on that. Is just like, well, I mean, like he's not watching over me. Like there is no, like there, I can put value to that. And there's something that happened when I was traveling across country that I was like, I was kind of like, damn, bro, like that's wild. Like it was, that had to do with my dad, but it wasn't like he's still out there watching over me. It's just kind of like you know what I mean? Like this, like, I don't know how to explain it, but like, that's where it kind of hits me closest. Is just because I don't believe that there's an afterlife. I don't believe that anybody that has passed like knows what's going on anymore, like anything. And like that sucks. That kind of sucks. That's a sobering reality. But I'm not going to change my whole life and do anything differently because I want to believe that. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. It's just that's where it's tough. But
yeah,
outside of that, like me and myself, and like I'm not. Of course I don't want to die. Like I'm not, but like I don't want to die because like I got shit to do, not because I'm scared I'm going to go to hell.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I understand. I will say that it's awesome for somebody like Bauer who has his faith and it has made his life better. So I mean, when you look at something like that, it's really nice. And I totally get where everybody else, we've all had the most judgmental people or Christians thoughts, or religious people in general.
Yeah, individual to individual, it can be good. It can be great. It's
for sure.
It's literally has saved lives, and I will not ever disagree with that.
Right.
But
and I hope he continues that route.
And tell me that these two dudes or these two females or they can't get married because of a fucking book that was written thousands of years ago. Like, get out of my face with that. Like, go on somewhere with that. Like, don't use your religion on anybody else. Like, that's what I don't. I can't stand it. I don't like that. There is the separation of church and state is not real. Like, laws get made based on religion all the time. Like, and it's the way that like, these purist religions and stuff, like they are not in the slightest feminists at all. They don't give a shit about women's rights. Like women, if you read some of these things, like women are to be submissive to their husband is their master. They do what their husband says because that's what God said to do, and that is the bottom line. And like, that's not cool. I don't like, in no way is that cool. You can be, if you were to live by the Proverbs and by Psalms and do all of those things that those two books in the Bible say that you should do, you'd be an immaculate person. You'd probably be a great person. Do unto others, yada, 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 all of these things, follow the 10 commandments. That's great. But like, you can't tell me that these two people can't get married because of some book that has no bearing in, and it shouldn't have any bearing unless I want it to have bearing in my life. Like you shouldn't be able to force any of that on anybody, period. Either way, like I can't force my beliefs on you. You can't force your beliefs on me. We're not making laws based on either side. Like
Yeah,
I don't like it. I don't like organized religion and the power.
that's
that
totally fair, I think.
Right. Even us, before we had this talk, like we all discussed it and we knew, like I said going into this, like my family is gonna feel some type of way about this. I'm sure there's some things that people are gonna ask us about, but I don't think they should take it in a bad way. Like
I think
that's
it's
what I
totally
there are
fine
going
to
to be
have
people that are
questions.
just straight up sad. They're going to be straight up. They're going to, and that's, I don't want pity from people. I don't want people to feel
right.
bad that, oh, he's definitely going to hell. Like he's not a believer. And that makes me feel like, like, I don't know. I don't like that whole thing. Is just weird to me.
Yeah.
Like,
Well,
uh,
I think it's almost a little unfair for someone who, to hold someone who believes in what they believe in so strongly to not want you to feel that same thing. You know what I mean? I'm not saying that you're wrong for feeling that way. I just mean when people say what they say, like you said about saying it happens for a reason, or
right.
this is God's plan, it's because they do care about people and they do want people to experience the same things that they've experienced. You talk to some people, older generation wise, and they'll say, I have 100% experienced God's work, or experience in their minds, and they might be right. They have, and so I just think that that's something to consider.
Right. That's great to believe in, but like I said, at this point in time in my
Sure.
life, I have not witnessed that
For
happen to me.
sure.
And I'm not saying like I'm this super down dark person. That's not what this is about. Like I know there's like miracles and stuff that happens every day. My son was a miracle to my life and changed my life. Like
Yeah.
that's not what this is about. This is we're just saying what we feel about religion. Like I have best friends like Bauer, who's into religion. It saved his life. I'm very proud of where he's at. Right.
Yeah.
My homie Dustin got out of jail. Like I was very proud to see where he was and with his religion and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
like I'm not knocking you because you're religious. That's not what this is about. So don't knock me because I have questions. Like if you got answers, you want to talk this, like let's talk about it. But don't like push things on me and make me feel bad or like I'm gonna go to this hellfire place and be beaten my entire life, like
Yeah.
into my life because I'm don't believe or have questions. Like, nah.
But to be fair, if the shoe was on the other foot, you would want all of us to feel, you would want all of us to be going to heaven instead of hell because you care about us.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's
Right. That's what I said at the beginning.
I
I
thought Bowder
want
was
to
talking
believe in
about-
a higher power and like that goodness that's out there. But as of right now, I have a lot of questions. That's just where
For
I'm at.
sure. Yeah. I just think it's important to consider that I don't think you're wrong, Jimmy, for feeling a type of way when someone, when you suffer a loss in your family or something like that, and someone says, this is God's will. I totally get it. That's not,
Yeah.
for someone who doesn't believe or has questions or whatever, that's not something that they want to hear. You would much rather someone just say, I'm sending my condolences.
right. Or like, I don't, that just,
And some people faking it, right? Like, be honest, Jimmy, when some people say that stuff, like they don't really mean that. They just saying it because they know that's what people say.
right.
Like that's what Christians are supposed to say almost.
Right.
Like I feel like that's backwards. I'd rather you try to talk to me and ask how I'm doing and check in on me than say something like that.
Right.
In closing, because we do need to wrap this up, but this would be a great 2-part episode. I feel like we could probably talk about it for another bit of time, but we'll wrap this one up. Do you accept when people say, I'll pray for you? And when there's prayer, when people pray, do you participate, or do you just kind of, obviously I know you guys, and I know you're not the type of people to be like, hell no, we ain't praying,
Yeah. Like, I'm respectful enough for, like, yeah, I'll bow my head and I'll take my hat off and I'll go through the motions, and I'm not going to make a scene. If somebody says something to me, like, people have said that to us, part of guys, but I'm just like, I don't reply. I'm just like, keep it moving, because that, like I said, I'm not just some crazy ravenous being out here that's just like religion and everybody that does it and blah blah blah. It's just like, that's just not my thing, and I don't agree with. I don't follow it that way. I don't see things that way. But, like, I see people that are good people. Like, if everybody does hypocritical things, everybody does things that are kind of shitty all the time. Like, it happens. But, like, at the end of the day, I'm confident that I feel like, for the most part in my life, people that I have come in contact with, 90% of them are going to say that I'm a good person. And none of them are going to say, well, he was a good person, but he didn't believe in God. So, like, yeah, I can't really blah, blah, like, that's not, I don't know. That's just, I just kind of keep it moving, stay to myself. Y'all do what you want to do. It really irritates me when other people can't live their lives based on something that they don't partake in, that they shouldn't have to partake in. So
yeah,
it's just,
okay.
If
My
it's
take
forced
on
upon
that-
me, that's when I have an issue, is when it's forced on me.
Sure,
If you
right.
don't force it on me, then everything's cool. Like, if you'll help me out, I'm gonna help you out. I'm not gonna ask you if you're a Hindu or if you're an atheist or if you're a Buddhist. I don't care about none of that. You need help, I need help. Let's figure it out. Like,
yeah.
and that's the way that I think that all of it should work, honestly.
Yeah, my take on that is basically the same as Jimmy's. Like, I go through the motions, I'm respectful, and, like, I'm not gonna say nothing about people praying at Thanksgiving, nothing like that.
Right.
And like I said, my family is very religious and stuff like that. And again, like Jimmy said, when they talk about it, like, if they ever bring up religion or even outside of religion, politics, those are the two things I don't talk about it. I won't talk about it with anybody. That's my business. What I think. You believe what you want to believe. I believe what I want to believe.
Yeah.
And I think the where it's unfair is, like, if somebody comes to me and they say, I am a Christian and I believe in God, I'm not really going to put much thought. I'm not going to think anything different of them. I like that. I don't agree with that, but, like, I'm not going to fundamentally think that you are a certain type of person because of that. Where
Right.
the other way around, a devout Christian, some of them could come to me and be like, do you believe in this? And I say no. And then it's just like, oh man, you're like,
Yeah.
whoa, like, we got to get away from this guy. He must be some, tattooed, meth smoking, child killer.
Satanist. Yeah.
Yeah. Like,
I feel what you mean.
I don't like that.
That's just the pushiness.
definitely agree
though.
with that.
Like, yeah, that's the pushiness again.
Nick, any closing thoughts? Bauer, any closing thoughts before we wrap it up?
Nah, I mean, I made my statement. Like I told y'all before, with this, it's just, I've been on both sides of the fence, and I understand the confusion, the misleading, the mysterious, the unaware, the
lack of proof. Yeah.
I understand the
sure.
anxiety, the pressure, I get all the if this, then's that. I get it. And to the point of what Gage and Jimmy said, is that, you have your certain people that do things. You have your certain people that they don't judge at all. There are some people that are just, going by the book. And there's some people like me, man, I'm not the greatest Christian on the planet. And y'all can attest for that. I'm one of those people that I have my faith, but I still give everybody their due diligence. Like, I'm not pressed by what people say to me, and I'm not pressed on people what they, I'm cool, whatever. It's just like, I can't even quote some of the stories, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not so gung ho about it that it's like I can't even press anybody about it. Cause I mean, 9 times out of 10, if I felt like pressing somebody about it, I'm probably going to get schooled in knowledge. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm going to go into a battle unprepared like a motherfucker.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I have the ability to allow it to be such a foundation that it's a good thing for me.
Yeah. Great.
And, it's all love between everybody in here. Just to set the record straight, I know nobody said, I don't feel attacked. If anybody on this podcast watching this is like, man, Tyler was quiet. It's like, no, I was just letting people that have more to say what they had to say, because my piece was what it was. And if anybody had any direct questions to ask me about what I felt or how I felt about it, they would have. But I was not offended. Everybody has their own opinions. And if you are somebody that's sitting here judging these people for having their own opinions, for not agreeing with what you say, and you deem them something other than a human being that deserves the utmost respect, then you need to really look at yourself in the mirror and try and understand what you feel, because you're obviously you're tilting the scale the other way, and that's not what it's supposed to be about.
Right on.
Yeah.
Nick, what you got? Anything for closing?
All praise to the Most High, the Most High. The universe writes it in His will is for you. God will let you know. But
I'd
I
like to
mean,
spend
I'm
the
more-
day in Nick's head, man.
I'm more
Oh, yeah.
spiritual than religious, I guess. But as far as you say, praying with, I pray all day, every day, bro. I do it differently than everybody else. So I mean, sometimes when it's happening, I'll bow my head and do my things. Other times I keep my head high. You know, the concept of it is what, slowing yourself down and talking to something outside yourself and things like that. That's all day for me. I pray all day. I pray for everybody all day. I'm thinking about everybody all day.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
I would
I would
explain
definitely like to be in Nick's head every now and then. I think that would
Oh,
be
for
a
sure. Yeah.
wild ride for sure.
I could tell you some stories. If we do a part 2, I'll tell you why
We should.
I believe in God.
Yeah, I
I
definitely
didn't
think we
go
should.
into my, like you said, none of y'all have had that moment. I've had those moments. That's why I casually talk to things that aren't here, because I've had those moments where I can't explain it, bro.
I've had some
And you can
moments,
try to tell me
but I mean,
whatever
nothing
it is,
crazy.
and I can't explain what happened.
So you can say you felt something there with you.
I've felt
Like
God
a-
around
like
me
a-
before. I felt
Well,
him
before we
around.
leave, because I do gotta go. I'll tell you my latest one. When everybody here knows that my son has the medical thing, and hearing that at first terrified, of course. And as y'all know, 777, my baby been with me for a minute. I was laying in bed the day after got that news, and I was doing my thing constantly, my talks, my prayers, whatever you want to call it. And I said, I'm good. I appreciate you, brother. I appreciate you, but he needs you. Whatever happens to me, but he needs you. 10 seconds after that, I'm not asleep. I'm just laying there. And it's a bullet or something came and hit me in my forehead. It made my head knock back. And as I saw it, it was like coming fast. It's coming straight for me, and I couldn't move, and it hit me. And I said, he's good. Started going to the doctor. That thing started shrinking.
Right. Yeah.
I don't know.
remember
You
telling
can't
me that
tell me. You
story.
can't. You
Yeah.
can't explain that to me.
Right. I remember you
That's
telling me
not.
a
That's not.
story,
And
and
that's
you
not.
hear.
That's not just the first one. That's confirmation.
Right.
I can go deeper in years and talk to you about these things. And sometimes and the craziest thing is I've had people call it out to me. I see something with you. And I felt whatever they saw, I felt it with me. So take it for what you want to, I guess.
Yeah, we should definitely do a part 2. Maybe not the next podcast, but we should definitely bounce back to this topic, because obviously we all can keep going. There are some things that I wanted to talk about that just left my mind because we got off on other things, but it was a really good talk. And hopefully we're not judged for how we feel, but how we are. So I'm looking forward to some feedback on this one. And I guess we will see you. That was a truck going by the
I'm
house.
sure we'll get some kind of
God.
feedback on it, that's for sure.
What's that?
So we'll get some kind of feedback on it. That's for sure. Somebody just want to have something to say.
Yeah, you might be right. Well, that we'll talk about that maybe next week on Earth. But this has been a good week on Earth for sure. Enjoy your Memorial Day weekend, everybody.
Yeah. Hail yourself.
I'm going to the Biz Beach.
Are you? You're not coming to the Outer Banks though. The fuck?
No, I'm not going to the Outer Banks. I should have, but like I said, originally we had planned to go when Tabitha's parents were going, so we'd have babysitters on deck so we could have a little time to ourselves. But then, yeah, kidney stones got the best of my boy Curtis there, old Tabitha's stepdad. He got kidney stones, so they are not going to the beach, and he will be going to urologist and then most likely into surgery in the next week. So
Go get them Julies blasted.
yeah, I don't blame him. I don't want him blasted too. He's been in pain.
I had
for
never
5
had them, but
days.
I've seen people that have them, and it does not look fun.
Yeah, I wouldn't
I've
wish it on my
had
worst
3.
enemy.
Yeah, I've heard that it's bad, especially for men. Like it's
Dog.
real bad. I've
I
never
can-
had it, but this I
I
don't.
can- The only thing I can ever compare it to is maybe a micro razor blade trying to get through your shit.
Oh hell no.
Yeah, we got a longer path for it to go.
I'll just keep my COVID.
Yeah,
Call it a
right.
day.
All right. Well, we'll see everybody.
This was
next
this week on Earth.
Yeah. Like and subscribe.
Hot
Hit
take
that
edition.
notification bell.
That's right. Comment.
Yeah, definitely
you
leave
think?
comments.
Yeah. Tell Jimmy what it is.
Yeah. Tell us if
comments will
somebody-
be
I just
hey,
like
comments
hearing
will be
people's
accepted,
perspective.
but if you come for anybody directly in a negative tone, your comments will be
I'll go
marked
punch
and
you.
you're going to be put on blast. So come in here with
I'll
some
take it.
quality comments, but do not come in here being disrespectful.
I
take that.
welcome it. I
Right.
They
welcome
can
it.
come for me. People can
Nah,
come for me. At me.
absolutely
At
not.
your boy. At your boy
Nope.
Jay Sturge. Let me know how you feel.
I welcome it because I'm interested to see what I think.
No, they can say their points, but you're not going to be disrespectful to another human directly in our comments. That ain't going to happen. Y'all
I
just
just-
say
well,
that's
I
accepted.
just-
I'm
that
going to
kind of
fire
will-
off on people.
If
I've
they
never
do,
met
prove my point.
anybody. I've never met anybody who feels how I feel, so I don't expect anything. But
Still should be respectful.
I you can say what they want to. It ain't gonna bother me. No.
Well,
There's someone out there that feels you for sure. I'm not saying that
Yeah, Definitely.
I
And
don't.
I think that spirituality,
Yeah, you've heard the
fine.
stories
That's
about things
fine. Here we
like
go.
you talk about. Yeah.
that's fine. Spirituality is fine.
I'm
That's-
spiritual as
That
fuck.
don't. That's between you and whatever you got going on, and you're not asking nobody for money, and you're not like preying on the weak out here. That's whatever.
Well, that's what I said. I believe that it started out as that, and then it got turned into something.
I got a project for everybody. Go watch a movie called The Man from Earth.
I gotta go watch. Give my son a kiss.
I've
goodnight.
got to go take care of other things in the house too.
It's
The Man
crazy
from
that
Earth.
y'all
I'll
have
check- I'll
lives.
But I will watch that. I'm about to watch TV, so I'm about to.
Tunes, you would like The Man from Earth. That is a Tunes movie right there for sure.
I'll check it out
I'm
one
gonna
of these
check it out.
days.
I'm about to check it out right now.
All right, like and subscribe.
Hit the notification bell.
Comment what you feel. Let us know any topics you want us to cover. We'll be back for part 2 of this. There's more to say, more to be said. Your comments will let us know your true self.
You ain't got nothing nice to say or respectful. Don't say it at all because I will come at you.
That's
Go play somebody.
that's a commandment. That's the 12th commandment.
Yeah, 13th, I think. Aren't there 12 already?
I think there's only 10, but
Oh, you might be right. Dang, I need to do a little brushing up. Oh, no. But anyway, all right. See you next week.
Hey.